All right, good evening. Let's call this meeting to order for the Turlock City Council. If you'd like to call your meeting to order.
Good evening, Mayor and council members and staff. We're going to call this meeting to order now, too.
All right, perfect. If everyone will join me to salute to the flag. If our chair of the Park Commission, our vice chair that's acting as chair, would like to lead us in salute.
Ready to salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I have a couple announcements before I turn it over to the chair of the Park Commission. We have Councilmember Bublak, who's participating via teleconference. Her locations, Las Vegas, Nevada, and it's posted on the agenda. Councilmember Bublak, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. And then I'd like to also introduce Kate Cook from the City Attorney's Office, that she's covering tonight's meeting for the interim city attorney. All right. With that, welcome and introductions. Chair, if you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Once again, thank you again for this. It's always a pleasure to have this joint meeting opportunity.
You want to join the microphone real quick. Perfect.
Got it? Great. Okay, perfect. Okay, so we can start out with our introductions and introduce ourselves to everyone. We can start that way and pass that.
I'm Marlene Dallin. This is my first year on the committee. I started in February.
All right.
My name is Jeremy Frank. This is also my first year on the committee. I'm in District 2, and if anybody likes to come and say hi, you'll find me and my dog frequently down at Centennial Park.
Nice. All right.
Hello, my name is Michael Foster. I'm going into my third year, so excited to be here. Thank you.
And my name is Nicole Larson, Vice Chair, going also into my third year.
Bob Hawley, working on my third.
Nice.
Okay, so next on our agenda is our proclamations, recognitions, appointments, announcements, and presentations, which we have proclamation, Parks and Recreation Month, July 2018, accepted by Parks, Arts, Recreation, and Public Facilities Director Allison Van Gilder.
So if the chair would like to join me, of course. And if it's all right with you, Director Van Gilder, I know that my signature's at the bottom, but I'm going to have the chair read it to you. So that's all you.
Perfect. So, in honor of the Parks and Recreation Month's Parks Make Life Better, July 2018, whereas Parks and Recreation makes lives and communities better now and in the future, and whereas 98% of California households indicated they visit a local park at least once in the past year, most often visiting a park with families and friends, and whereas parks preserve and protect the historic and natural and cultural resource in our community, and whereas recreation fosters human development, providing positive alternative for children and youth during non-school hours to reduce crime and mischief, thereby helping children and youth develop and grow into healthy and productive adults, and whereas parks and recreation offer places, spaces, and programs that facilitate social connections, human development, therapy, and arts, and lifelong learning. And whereas Parks and Recreation strengthen community image, sense of place, and increases cultural unity. And whereas Parks and Recreation provides opportunities for directed and self-directed activities which encouraging healthy movement, and whereas the City of Turlock urges that all its residents to recognize that Parks and Recreation enriches the lives of its residents and visitors, as well as adding the value to the community's homes and neighbors. Now, therefore, I
give you the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nicole Larson, by virtue of authority vested in me as Vice Chair of the Turlock Parks, Arts, and Recreation, City of Turlock, and on behalf of the entire City Council and all our citizens, do hereby proclaim that the month of July 2018, Parks and Recreation Month, acknowledges that parks make life better, and so, in doing so, urge all citizens to use and enjoy our parks and recreations and opportunities. Thank you to Allison.
I think it's very fitting that we would accept this proclamation tonight with both of our bodies that provide direction and guidance to us on all things related to parks and recreation. I am very honored to receive this on behalf of all of my hardworking staff who work every day to deliver quality programs to our community and to provide usable and safe spaces to do so. And so thank you very much. I'm very humbled by all the kind comments, and I'm very proud to work with each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
Perfect. All right. It looks like both the chair and I have some proclamations, some certificates to give out. So let's start off with Turlock Sunrise Rotary. Come on up. Give them a round of applause. Mr. Julian, how are you? Mr. Martin, Xenia? All right. As many of you know, our parks division, they're out there, they're weed eating, they're blowing, they're mowing, they're making sure our parks look great. And every once in a while, we need a little bit of extra help, and we need some folks to come step up. And Turlock Sunrise Rotary has done that multiple occasions, but this specifically is in honor of their efforts with the tiles and different things over at Donnelly Park. And so we really appreciate all the help that you do, the fact that you care for this community so much, that you guys don't just meet in the morning, very early morning, but that you come out into the community and make it better for all of our children. So thank you so much, and on behalf of both the chair and I, congratulations. Speech, of course, a speech, yeah.
Well, the tiles were certainly a project because we didn't know how to do them at start, and fortunately I'm good friends with the ceramics teacher at Turlock High School, and so that's how they got done. But in celebration of Parks Month, I guess the Noon Club met today in Crane Park since they got booted from their fairgrounds where they normally meet. But it was fun, and we're looking for more projects, so if you have some, let us know.
Well, Allison's already nodding her head. Yes. Well, thank you so much. Give her a round of applause. Miss Diane Bartlett, come on up here. Give her a round of applause for all she does, not just for parks. Absolutely. So again, our parks are great spaces to come and play and enjoy and recreate, but also a place to learn and to explore, and not just physically, but also just with a good book and with crafts and with other activities. And so we have such a great partnership with the Turlock Library on multiple levels, not just this level. And so we're very happy to give this certificate of appreciation to Miss Diane Bartlett. Yep, you gotta do it.
So, well, because I'm with the library, and we are just so honored to be part of this program, because what we do, of course, is to encourage the love of learning and the love of literature, and that's what we do every Tuesdays, going out to the, or every Monday, going out to the camps and reading to the kids and helping them participate in our summer reading challenge. And again, it's just been a very great honor. Thank you so much.
Finally, Mr. Juan Vargas, get up here. He did an excellent job today with Summer Fair Park. Let's give him a round of applause for all your hard work. The microphone is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Commission. So, like they said, we have several certificates that we started giving out to our individuals and organizations that have come out to help us in our parks and our facilities. And this one, I wanted to introduce this one because it's the first project that's fallen under our Adopt a Park umbrella. We had a young man, Ronnie Roden, who came to us about a month ago and said, "Hey, I'm working on my Eagle Scout project. I want to plant some trees at one of your guys' parks." We met with the maintenance supervisor and the guys, and it was better suited because the initial idea was out at Soderquist, but it was better fit for the Walnut Christofferson Basin. So they actually planted, he and his group, so I'll bring him up right now. So Ronnie and Troop 451, if you guys want to go ahead and come on up here. And we actually got a couple good pictures of the little project that they took on. So they planted 8 maple trees, like I said, out at Christofferson Walnut Basin, and he had some money left over, so they gave the extra like $60 to the recreation scholarship program. So that'll go to help other youth in our program. So it didn't just stop with them planting the trees. It's going to go on and help better serve the youth in the community. So here we have Ronnie and Troop 451 that went out to plant some trees out there, getting dirty, getting their hands dirty early in the morning. I believe it was pretty hot that day as it got into the later time. So thank you, Ronnie, for your commitment to service in the community and to your troop, and best of luck on your Eagle Scout journey. And today is also his birthday, so it's another way for him to celebrate. So. There you go, Ronnie. Would you like to say a couple?
Oh, I don't know.
Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Ronnie. Let's give him a round of applause. And like I said, we have several other, I want to say we've had 16 different individuals and organizations that have helped us out within the last year. And that's just at our department level. It's not citywide. We have other organizations that come in. So just at our park level, we've had 16 different groups. So we will be sending the rest of the certificates out to those individuals. But we want to especially thank Rotary, Diane with the Turlock Library, and Ronnie for coming out to celebrate Parks and Rec Month. So thank you guys, and we look forward to doing this again next year with hopefully that much more. And just another touch on Adopt a Park, since this was the first one under that umbrella. His fell under the improvement donation, and we are in the works of, we've had 3 groups come forth that want to do the Adopt a Park level sponsorship. So we will be working that in the near future. So just to give you guys a heads up, it's up and rolling. And if you guys have any questions about the Adopt a Park, feel free to come visit me over at 144 South Broadway. I'll be over there. If you guys need anything, just give me a ring. Thank you guys.
Sorry, Juan, I wrongly accused you of stealing my agenda, but I have it right here. Thank you. All right, moving on. Do you want to open public participation?
Sure. So is there any participants from the public that would like to address any items on our agenda? Seeing none. Okay, moving along to declaration of conflicts of interest and disqualifications, we have none. And going on to our Parks, Arts, and Recreation Commission staff updates. Our first one will be from Allison on the public art update.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and our commissioners. Thank you so much. I wanted to provide both of these bodies with a quick update on where we stand with a variety of different arts-related projects. The first one is a grassroots effort that is in the preliminary stages regarding a community mural project. There has been some discussion between city staff and representatives from the university in regard to placing a community mural at Columbia Park. There's been some brainstorming sessions that have taken place, a series of dialogues that have taken place, and most recently the students from Stanislaus State have reached out to the community, particularly to the youth in the community, to try and get some ideas on what to include in this project in terms of what would be included in the mural. They have some really exciting ideas that they're now putting together into a proposal package that will come through the public art policy process. We're anticipating that proposal coming before the commission on August 8th for review, and also for recommendation to council if that's what you decide to do. And then once that goes to council, obviously council will then weigh in on it and will evaluate the final details of what that proposal looks like, as well as any associated agreements once we know if council desires to move forward. So that's something very exciting. I know that was something that came up at last year's joint meeting, this idea of a mural type project. We're hopeful that this could lead to multiple murals throughout the community, but this is sort of of our pilot, if you will, and many people will recall that we used to have a mural in Columbia Park around the pool, and so we're looking at that same location to really try and bring some color back into that park again, and we think it's exciting that we would include the youth to get their feedback so that we have something that truly represents the ideas and the interests of the community. In regard to decommissioned public art, there has been some recent discussion about the former energy burst that used to be displayed out on the Auto Mall sign, as well as the Scandinavian wood carving sculpture. As I had stated at a recent council meeting, staff is looking for some direction on those two pieces because when they were taken out of service, there really wasn't any direction or discussion at that time that indicated what the next steps should be. And the conversations that did take place really didn't end up going anywhere. And so we're recognizing that we need to do some cleanup to know how to best handle the final placement or decommissioning of those pieces of art. And so council has asked us to take that item back to the commission to get your feedback, and that's what we are going to be doing also at the August 8th meeting. And we'll be inviting the public to give us their opinions and perspectives on how best to handle those two pieces as well. And any recommendations that come out of that meeting will then be brought back to council for final consideration and direction. And finally, we've also been having a lot of discussion about our Califia statue located in the downtown. And at the last council meeting, we did get direction from council that we were to move forward with a cleaning process that essentially will help us remove a lot of the water staining that's occurred on the statue. But out of that conversation has also come some conversation about how do we prevent future staining, how do we address concerns that some of the public has raised regarding the safety of the water, and also the amount of labor it takes to maintain the sculpture in terms of cleaning the water and things of that nature. And so there was some conversation about, maybe there's an opportunity to rethink the water feature aspect and come back with some ideas to, I think there was one idea suggested to eliminate the water and maybe have the water actually painted onto the statue to still give you that representation but not have the effects of the running water. And so out of those conversations, it's just very clear that it might be time for us to have a little broader dialogue with the community about what they would like to see relative to that statue. And so that will be something that we will bring back to the commission as well in the near future. And then again, we'll bring it, whatever your recommendations are, back to council for final consideration. There has also been conversations about the location of the statue and whether a relocation would be something that the community is interested in. As of right now, we've received no formal submissions or requests to have the statue relocated. Should that happen, that would be part of our public art policy, as you guys are familiar with. That would start again with this body here, ultimately with a recommendation to council on whatever the direction would be. And so I hope that gives everybody sort of a quick update on where we stand with all of our various art projects. Lots of activity, some exciting things I think on the horizon, especially when it comes to the mural project. But I think all in all, I know staff is very appreciative to have a public art policy now in place because it really helps us to guide these issues as they come up. And hopefully, as I mentioned at the last council meeting, hopefully we can avoid some of these challenges about, in the future as to, when we decommission a piece of artwork, what happens, and then also making sure that we have a adequate plan to maintain it for the long term, and that all of those details are figured out in advance. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. That's my update.
Thank you, Allison. Is there any questions or comments from the commission on our side? Any from the council?
Yeah, go for it, Councilman.
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. At one of the meetings, I think it was one of the branding meetings we had, we discussed the possibility of doing some kind of murals on the utility boxes and stuff like that in town? If we proceeded,
So
is there anything going on with that?
So there's nothing going on specifically with that right now. However, there has been some discussion. And so as I mentioned, the concept of the mural at Columbia Park is sort of our pilot program that we would like to sort of use as our kickoff for this. But we see the possibilities of this expanding to other medias, and we have talked about the utility boxes because we've seen that done in other communities. So I think that it's still definitely a possibility. We're just trying to implement sort of a stepped approach so that we can work out all of the details, and hopefully it'll make the next project run that much smoother. There's also a distinct challenge, or difference I should say, between when you're talking about putting a mural in a public space versus a private space. There's different considerations that we have to take into effect, and so we're trying to make sure that we have all of those things kind of figured out in advance so that we're prepared. And we'll be working with our city attorney's office as we evolve the program to not only be focused on our public spaces but also on our private properties as well.
Any other questions?
Okay. Anything else from the commission? Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
So much, Allison. Next is an update for the community garden, and that's me. So this has been a topic of discussion for, I think, a little over a year now. Chair Bullender brought this to our commission a while ago, and so we've been working diligently. Our staff, thanks to our awesome staff, we've been looking at a lot of case studies and other policies that other cities are doing. We had about a stack of about 16 other studies and policies and how they operate with their community garden and urban garden. So right now we're basically collecting all that data right now to further discuss it at the commission level. And we're basically looking at three avenues, or for our ad hoc committee, which consists of me and Commissioner Loza. Partnerships between the commission itself and a private organization. Some people like UC Davis, they partner with their city, and under the commission itself operating it. And also another avenue is even a 501c3 group would be able to take something like this on. So there's lots of avenues in which this would go on to, and it's at the beginning of this discussion, it was kind of, oh, well, that plot of land looks like we could have an urban garden, but it's a lot more weedy than that. So right now we're trying to take a very collective and thoughtful perspective on this to ensure that we do our job diligently, and if we come forth with the recommendation to the city council, that we'll be able to do that in a very thoughtful and thorough way. So right now, that's we're weeding through all of the research of all of the other policy and case studies that we have that are in other cities and surrounding cities in California. Any questions or comments from the commission? Sandra couldn't make it, but she wanted to say that she's also a part of it.
I have a quick comment.
Yes, please.
I appreciate your comment about the fact that this is not as easy as just putting a garden on an empty plot of land.
Right.
It's similar to what Director Van Gilder just talked about. It's not as easy as just painting a wall for a public mural.
Right.
I think that those in the community sometimes feel like things can happen overnight, and it does take a very long time, because you are making sure that you put something in that's permanent, or that's legal and safe, and that it's not going to be a burden in 3, 5 years, 10 years time. And so we're seeing that with some of the public art that's been brought forward for us to deal with as a council. All good intentions, but again, it takes a lot of thought. So I appreciate that, because again, I see plots of land and I haven't fallen into that trap of saying, oh, garden would be perfect, then just throw some seed down and let's go. But you're looking at water resources, you're looking at parking, you're looking at all the different avenues. So thank you to Director Van Gilder and your entire staff. I know you've been working with them a lot. Vice Chair, I appreciate all that you've done, and the entire commission. So
Thank you.
We're impatient as a community, but we know that it'll work out.
Right. Thank you so much. Anything else on this topic? Okay, moving along to our last update. Bob Holly will talk about our fitness initiative as I pass this over.
Good evening to everybody. All right, I'm going to adjust this here. The fitness initiative that we've been looking at, it's tougher, as Nicole says, with a garden. It's just as tough with the fitness aspect, looking at stuff. Where to locate it, staff has been out and about. I've gone out and about, trying to figure out a way that it will involve the whole community, not just a certain area of the community. we may end up having to split it up into 2 or 3 different areas. We've looked at several parks. We've looked at other plots of land here and there. And we've looked at equipment. If you think it's going to be cheap, think again. You're without the land, without the pad for the apparatuses, you're looking at about $80,000. And that's with the city doing some of the work themselves also. We're still looking into a lot of it and trying to decide what best suits Turlock. Not, San Francisco has a very nice one. I have a friend who's been there, and he says, really nice. I'd love to have one here. But it wouldn't be feasible for us to do something like that, same location there that they have in San Francisco. If you like to jump in on it somewhere and donate some funds or property, let us know. We will gladly check it all out for you. And that's about it from where we're at right now. Any questions from commission, council?
Questions?
I was wondering if it's narrowed down at all geographically. Do we have areas that we think, just general area we might look, or is it still pretty wide open?
Still pretty wide open right now because we're running into some areas that where it might be a good place, but the land is not there. The location, that land is not there feasible at this point in time. Also, we're running into the idea that somewhere along the line, part of it was considered working with the homeless. Would they affect our apparatuses, or people come in and hinder the use of the apparatus because of the location? So we're trying to figure all that out, and hopefully in a few years or so there won't be a problem with people destroying the equipment that's put out there for the community. So.
Any other questions for the commission? Council?
Yeah, Robert, are we looking at, what size? Are we looking for an acre, half acre, quarter acre? What, do we have an idea of what we're looking for at least?
It depends on the apparatuses you use in the location. You can do it on a quarter of an acre for some of the apparatuses, but in others, it's up to an acre, a little over an acre and a half, maybe sometimes. And it ends up being a course for you to use, not just go use the one apparatus and walk off. It's for the whole body.
Anything else from the council?
Thank you, Mayor and Mayor, Council, and Commission, sorry. I would like to just add on, because I had the opportunity to spend some time with Commissioner Hawley, and we went out and checked out a variety of locations. And what I anticipate us ending up with is hopefully a list of recommendations on potential locations, and that would be, taking into a variety of factors such as parking, anticipated number of users in that particular location, the available space. Do we even have space at that location? And so what we have discussed as staff is that we can sort of see this standard where we'd have a set standard for a neighborhood park, size-wise, and then you'd have maybe a larger standard for a community park, because that typically can accommodate a larger number of users and would probably be bigger. And so what we hope to have, after the committee's done their research and work and staff's weighed in on it, is really a nice comprehensive package that short of the funding that we need, we could basically say, we're ready to go. We have a plan. That plan would have been already vetted by the neighborhood. We would go into these areas and say, have a public hearing and say, what do you think about having an amenity like this in your park? And get their feedback so that when funding becomes available, we're ready to go. And, staff is always looking for grant opportunities and things of that nature. In fact, in our master planning for the Montana Park, it is in our plans that that would be one of the locations that we would have some type of fitness amenity in addition to the playground structure. We're just hoping that funding comes through for that at some point, but that is one of the locations, and that's one of our neighborhood parks. So just kind of want to fill you in on that to maybe give you a little bit of a perspective, but we're trying to basically put a couple of standards together and also, frankly, get a price tag for what this type of a project would cost, so that we know when we get out there to do some fundraising and look for those resources, we know what we're talking about as far as what is the dollar amount we need to make this happen. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? See none. Okay, we're gonna go into our next agenda item: council and commissioner comments and updates. First, any comments or updates on any topic from our side? Of course. Let's pass this.
Mayor Soyseth and council members, thanks so much for having us. I apologize for my tardiness. Traffic was not on my side today. So I have had, this I bring forth to my fellow commissioners, I've had some comments brought to me that there is concern about spider webs and spiders in parks, most specifically Donnelly Park. I would like the record to show that I would like to request an update at a Parks Commission about how we deal with, as a city, how we deal with that issue. Maybe we spray down, but I could also see hazards in spraying down with children. I would just love to learn about that process. That's really all. I'd just like to get some answers for the people that have asked me about that concern of theirs. Thank you.
Of course.
It's just more informational, I suppose, for staff or just things I've heard. There's an area in Centennial Park with just dead grass and then lack of shade in the dog park area that just some people have mentioned. Other than that, if anybody here has other things that you would like at your friendly neighborhood park, second Wednesday of every month we meet, so come make your voices.
Shameless plug. Thanks.
I almost want my big button.
All right, I like it. I like it.
Thank you. Is that everything from the commission? Perfect.
Anything from the council? These items? No? Thanks so much.
Great. So I think that, can I get a motion to adjourn from our side? Motion, I get a second. Seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Our adjournment.
Nice, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn from our side? Okay. All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Jacobs, second by Councilmember Scarrett. All those in favor say aye. All right, we're adjourned as well. Thank you so much. Thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
attending, everyone.